Okay, I think we're live. Awesome. If you're wondering why there's a picture of Goku here, this isn't the video for you. You should understand. Okay, so I want to do this video. Mostly, I did a poll for the community, and you guys by far picked this one. So I'm just gonna. This is what we're doing today. So there's a lot of talk on how to become a self-taught developer, the issues with being a self-taught developer versus getting a CS degree, boot camps, coding boot camps, all this stuff. And I gotta throw in my two words, because one I've so here's my background. I've been a software engineer full time, I guess, or as the way I make money since I was about, you know, 17, 18, getting close to like 9 years now. And um it really uh got into it when I was like, I've been fully self-taught the whole time. So this hasn't been like a I went to like college for like a year just to try it out, but it wasn't for me. I was learning to code when I was like in middle school. Um, had like a computer science club where I would teach kids how to code in high school. We did hackathons. We won hackathons or we crushed. And did like a ton of startup stuff, worked at different companies, and now I'm streaming. Well, I'm still doing. I have my own startup now, so it's that's going pretty well. So that's fun. But overall, I know how to learn how to code from nothing, because part of when I was a kid, which is why I'm making the video, because I want to give some advice here, because I think there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of people being a little too intense about it. I feel like when I was learning to code, it was so fun. It was like I get to create things from my laptop. I'm just a little kid. I'm nothing. Like, and now I get to go and do something for the world, make something cool, show it to my friends. Show it to random people on the internet that I probably shouldn't be talking to, and overall, just like kind of Florian. I'm self-taught as well, but I started later than you. First app I written was in. Oh, nice. You're self-taught. Yeah, self-taught. A lot of people in the community are self-taught. So the thing I'm building now is we're building a uh, question answering tool for construction workers, or really, uh, right now we're focusing on electricians, and it's backed by AI, and it's pretty cool. We're getting some good usage. Um, but it's like still in like very very early stage with the MVP. But anyway, so the really thing that I want to talk about today is it's like core things to focus on, so you don't get into the trap of hating it. You got to be like Goku here. He's not. We're not idolizing him. He's a little flawed, but when it comes to the skill, to the craft, you got to keep a light heart, and you gotta like love the fight. Because I think I see a lot of thing about people like talking about leak code and like, oh, I gotta grind leak code to get good. It's like, no, you have to like. It's like I never grinded anything. Looking back, and none of my friends did either, who were also self-taught and were really good at a young age, and they're excellent. One of my friends is probably one of the best programs to this day, and I've met a lot that I've ever met, and the I'm talking about common themes I know from all the people I've met, and just gonna try to like talk about a through line on how you develop the skill set. And a lot of it isn't. It's not about it's a you gotta love, at the core of all of what I'm gonna say. You gotta love problem solving. You gotta chase it. You gotta chase it. Um, And so the SSJ coder. By the way, I'm a little retarded. So That's why the SSJ coder. All right, so let's talk about. I have some points here I want to talk through. I want some points. Just stick with me here. Stick. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be good. All right, you're gonna. I've said it. So many people have said it before. This one I get. I get it. I get it. You're like, I know. Of course. Fundamentals. I know. Yeah. Obviously. But it's so under like looked like this or overlooked. This is one of those things where you could learn at a very rough in a very rough way. You could learn every fundamental there is. You could learn a ton of stuff. I mean, every framework there is, and you can learn a ton of abstractions. But when you're only operating at the level of abstractions, you're super at a disadvantage. Fundamentals, it's like you have to. Goku learned how to punch before he went Super Saiyan. Okay, am I going too far with that? Is it? I'll make more. So it's like you have to like, and what I mean by fundamentals is very broad. So I'll try to be more specific about it. You have to learn CS. You have to learn about computer science. And you should probably, in my opinion, this is a part of what I did, and this was out of pure curiosity because I was like, I want to be a little hacker when I was a little kid. I I was like, hey, I want to learn everything about what's going on in this computer. I just wanted to, and I learned. I can't write assembly currently, but like I would learn assembly, I would learn C, I would learn like a lot of these system level programming languages, and then that exposed a lot of the fundamentals on how computer architecture worked to me. So then I had a intuitive understanding of bases and bits and these things, and and there's a the main difference between me and my colleagues that learn CS from schools that coding is my work, but it's my main hobby. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like if you treat it like a hobby, learning fundamentals is actually very simple. It's like to this day now, like I'm currently reading this book on algos, on just algorithm design. It's very fascinating to me because I get to see someone talk about big O notation and talk about and the analysis for the generic analysis framework, general analysis framework, in a very like comprehensive view. And it's like I haven't. It's like to this day, that's these are things, and I'm not like I'm like 27. I'm not like exactly like those dudes have been doing build like engineers for 40 years, across many fields. And I'm not saying anything like that, but it's like I'll read certain concepts that I understand, and I learn more about the fundamentals because I'm constantly seeking fundamentals. It's like, but a lot of people are like, okay, well, I got to know about trees, tribes, that. It's like I got to learn about everything. It's like you naturally learn about things as you're just like following your curiosity on how things work. So really, when I'm talking about fundamentals, and I've talked about this in another video, I'm talking about like try to get to know how things work and just like chase that. It's like and you got to start small, and don't be like stressed if you're like no one cares that you don't know anything. No one cares until you're on a job and you don't know anything. But when you're learning, no one cares. Let go of all that ego. Am I gonna be able to fit all these? So that I don't want to talk about that too much. I feel like that like everyone talks about that. That's like an obvious thing. And when you're self-taught, you're at a disadvantage with fundamentals because you don't have a structure on learning it. That's why you follow your curiosity. Because your curiosity is good. It's ordered, it's structured. It's structured towards a goal. You know what I'm saying when I say that? All right. So this one is like I'll probably just go through this. This one's another like this one is kind of obvious, and I'll go through this one pretty quick. Uh, because like it's kind of intuitive, but like actually this one's super. It's very basic and intuitive, and you're like, oh, I know. I clicked on this video for real knowledge, but it's like really think about the consequences of this. Never stop learning. Like, what are the consequences of that? That means that to this day, as every single good engineer that you'll ever meet is still learning new concepts at any stage in their development as problem solvers. So like there's never a time where like where you're just, oh, I know. I just know everything. I'm that dude, you know. It's like you're always going to be honing your craft. You're always going to be like always have some concept that you're moving towards. That's really the overall for this is like whether you want to learn about real time streaming, you want to learn about React, you know, something simple, or you want to learn like some new framework for some like Django suite for stats or something like that. Like whatever it is, like always be pushing yourself because the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to get abstractions, like real abstractions, not like the oh, I only know how to use frameworks things, which we'll talk about. But you'll be able to make your own abstractions. So you'll be able to be like, oh, I learned 5 different programming languages, so I understand actually like what an algorithm is at its core. I understand what an instruction is at its core because you've seen these patterns and you just kept expanding. You know, don't be afraid to expand. Um, this one, okay, so this one is actually super important. So I'm not gonna just like I'm gonna give this a little acronym too. This one's super important. This is more of a chill stream. We're not. I may do a build stream tonight. I gotta get a good idea to work on. Uh, but like today, we're chilling. We're talking about some self-taught engineering. If you have any questions in the chat, let me know if anyone's around. All right. So, ABP, always be pushing. So, like, this was sort of a concept that some friends of mine and I had when we were young and we were learning the code. We were doing hackathons and building a ton of stuff. Is that you always have to be putting your code in front of people, essentially. And the project, like the end project, you have to always be pushing things out in front of people. It's a startup-y way of thinking too. So you have to do that to be successful with product, obviously, but it's also something to develop yourself as a coder, right? It's like when you're I would post on forums, Hacker News, like all my GitHubs all the time, and it gave me a very good like a quality sense of one, how engineers talked, like how to get feedback, how to like frame what someone's saying and actually turn it into something that I can do and change and implement the change, which is going to be a lot of things. If you're making money and someone's telling you for their business to code something, you're gonna have to learn how to actually like make it happen, right? So like, and this is a social aspect to this. You can't be SSJ coder without being social. I'm sorry. And I don't mean like, like this, like how I'm like literally streaming and like talking a ton. You don't have to be like that. I'm just saying you have to be able to, and I talk about this a lot, but like you have to be able to communicate your code through your code as well. Like Unix, the system is one of the most like in terms of communication, it's one of the it communicates to you how it works in one of the most efficient and useful ways possible. It has so much structure and the interoperability. It's like people say that's great. It's like, why is that great? It's a communication tactic. It's like you can intuitively understand it by looking at the system, and you should be thinking about that when you're coding. It's like think about the user of it in terms of the coder or the program that's going to read it. It's like write readable code. Why? It's like because when you push your code, people are going to like tell you about it, and they're going to be able to use it, and it's going to be useful. So whenever you make your code clean, whenever you put it in front of people, you're learning that usefulness. Does that make sense? Uh, can't watch right now because but love your stuff. Oh, nice. Got a bunch saved. Hey, man. Thanks, Psyduck. Nice name. Uh, yeah. This is gonna be, I think, a good one for all the self-taught folks out there. Yeah, like the But the cons is that I hate working on 15-year-old MVC stacks. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, the we're gonna talk about frameworks in a sec, but that one's super. This one is big. This one's big. So learned. Oh yeah, this one's super. Let me know if you guys have any other topics you want me to cover. 'Cause this one I think is needs to get hammered more and more and more. Okay, learn to love problem solving. So if you don't already, you should learn to love. I'll just say love, just to shorten it. Love problem solving. Because if you don't, this isn't for you. If you don't like see problems as an opportunity, yeah, you're gonna be grinding lead code because you're gonna hate it. You're gonna treat it like a lot of, and this is the benefit of being self-taught and not going through university. Because I wasn't like a good student. I never like this was my school. Like I would go home and I'd like learn about computers. I'd learn about coding. I learned about hacking. That was the thing I was interested in, and I'd learn about how to make video games, and like all these things. And I had zero idea about startup world. I mean, that wasn't even it was a thing, but the culture didn't start getting big until I was probably 15, 16. Um, and that's when the hackathon hackers movement thing happened, and then all the hackathons and everything. Before then, I was just fascinated by like Dan Brown books where like there was like a cool hacker in it. So it's like, and I started getting the cryptography and all these things, and like trying to see and like the Caesars like crypto, and also just like being able to decode deciphers and things like that, or being able to detect deciphers. So like these things, I was just like interested in, and then I was like, oh wait, there's some coding stuff, and then like I would just constantly try to find these problems to solve, and I think that's a good way to go about it, where it's like you're just constantly just like trying to go and do something interesting, and also the social the not social engineering. Yeah, that stuff's interesting, but like don't do. I'm not saying anyone should do any of that stuff, but like being able to reverse engineer is huge, and that all comes from like it's like the best reverse engineers are always the best they're always self-taught engineers in my experience, because they have this like love for like really trying to know how things work, and they don't grind lead code, they just learn how things work, and then they and when you learn how things work, you learn the fundamentals of when we talk about these problem solving and algorithmic tactics. It's like you learn about heaps naturally as you're learning about the computer, because there's heap memory, there's so many things are in a heap, and then the heap is a natural uh there's a natural progression to why it's useful, especially a max heap. It's like in binary trees themselves, like the binary search trees become this natural progression into lookups. It's like you as you start learning about the computers and the fundamentals of problem solving just to become super obvious. And I'm not saying that like coding one from scratch, if a guy like points a gun at you and is like, you don't get 200K if you don't do this. I'm not saying that's gonna like become super easy, but you'll at least like it. And I'm not saying you're gonna be super great at it. But yeah, like, and so look at it as a challenge, you know, like go Goku. I'm like I'm like I'm like an idiot. Okay, but like Goku here, like referencing anime. No, but this is real. No, like there's a reason why all of us as kids like, well, not all of us, but like a lot of young boys like characters like this, because like they have this they have this pure love for the fight, and it's a very masculine ideal, and you have to like when you're approaching something that's a challenge, it's like you have to be very grateful for it. You have to be like, yeah, let's do it. Have a good attitude. Okay, so hopefully that one had some through line in it. Okay. Oh yeah, this one's more fun. This one's okay. Now we're getting back into the sucking part and how not to do that. So this I see a lot because I probably should have said this in the beginning. I also mentor people. Um, really, just this past year I started doing it. Mostly because I needed some time to. I'm trying to really get to the next level personally and all this stuff, and I was like, I need like set up my career so I have more ownership over my time. But I also like it, and I like mentoring people because I get to see the patterns, a lot of the patterns that I've either done or avoided or seen other people do, and be like, oh, that's not good. And I get to like see the development of that and be like, no, not like that. I'm not like that. I'm not like a jerk. But like, okay, so the framework junkie thing is fascinating. So what I mean by this is a lot of people when they're first learning, and it's fine to do this, they'll start with very high level abstractions. They'll start with these frameworks that are like, I- honestly, even like looking at Python, if we're going to take that, like working in PyTorch is honestly like maybe not the best thing to start if you want to learn neural networks, right? Like you should probably just look up basic NumPy calculations and being able to make a forward pass and a backward pass, learning how to do gradient descent from scratch. Like that's really how you should approach neural networks. And then the frameworks, you become so grateful for it. You're like, oh my god, that's great. Like imagine if imagine if Goku like got like I'm trying to think of like imagine if he got what tools did he? If he got the no, he got the flying nimbus pretty early. You get what I'm trying to say. Imagine if like some hero in a story got their tools that actually made them kill the monster right when they started their journey. You know what I mean? And it's like that's like not good. And I think that really what I mean by this is there's a lot of people that it's fine to learn frameworks first. I'm not really saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is you'll be addicted to needing a framework to get something done. And then the more you do that, the more you're dependent on tooling for understanding. So like you should be able to just look at a YouTube video about whatever concept and then learn it without having to do it through a framework. Like a lot of people will search, and I've done this, like we'll search like, okay, I want to learn about cookies and sessions, and then you do Django, right? Or you do like Ruby on or whatever backend framework you do, and it's like you should be able to look at any video about cookies and sessions, and the way you do that, and you can like even if it's Rust, even if it's something that is out of your like, let's say you're just a high level programmer, and there's a systems level course on backend stuff, you should be able to intuitively understand it, and the way you do that is you always learn the fundamentals, and you learn about the concepts and rather than just the framework. And there are frameworks that are great for learning the concepts. Like you want to be a backend, pick Django. There's so much of a community and tooling around that that'll make you very good at server side, but don't become too dependent on it and understand at a fundamental level how these things work without it. It's like how would you actually write this with just URL lib in Python? You know what I mean by that? Like, like really try to like, and that's why I actually like Node.js as a language to learn. And I don't consider Node.js a framework itself. Like Express is a framework to learn backend because you can do it's very you get access to the fundamentals of things actually very quickly, even though it's JavaScript and it sucks. But like the whole event IO, whenever I like say that it's like cool, like the concurrency you get, the upfront concurrency you get, I'm always coping. I just Node.js cope, honestly. I have a video on like it's like a Node.js primer, and I that's just it's just a big cope, honestly. No, but no, but I do like I'm glad that I learned a lot of backend through Node.js, because you get well, it's mostly through PHP, honestly, MySQL PHP, but like the way I really fundamentally understood these things, I started messing around with Node a lot without frameworks. And being able to really mess around, play with the HTTP lifecycle blew my mind, and then Express was like, I was like, this is amazing. I was like I was grateful for it, like, and take that. That's a micro that you can take, or this is a fractal reality that exists in many different spheres. So I can take that and I can expand that out to programming languages. It's like, well, and really what I'm saying that is I'm saying don't be a garbage collection junkie. Don't be a dynamically typed junkie. It's like if you live in C world, in C++ world, if you live in C world for a while, then C++ world is going to be great because you're going to be like, oh, these structs are killing me, you know? And the same thing goes for if you're all of a sudden in that world, then you go into Java world, you go into, so you're going to be grateful. You're going to see the progression of the tools, which is actually the next thing. That's crazy. I just like that was nicely done, Jared. I just said my name. You're like a dork. All right, so know your history. All right, this one's big. Do I have enough space? Not really. Hold on a sec. Let's reorder this. Being very impulsive right now with this video, which is good. Stream of consciousness. All right, so this one's big. So like this is a part of that intuitive understanding. So like Rule, hey Rule, what's up? Yeah, by the way, if you're watching this, you have questions, let me know. I'm gonna try to make this into like more of a clip later. Try to figure out like a good way to put this in a clip. Because we'll probably be talking for a bit. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I can talk about whatever. But so like know your history. The reason why this is super important is because there's a logical, and I was just talking about it with being grateful for a lot of these things. It's like be grateful for garbage collection. It's like having to allocate to the heap, and having to understand when you're allocating to the heap versus stack. It's like not having to being operating abstraction outside of that is, and having GC in a Python. These are luxuries, right? And people built very interesting technology that's very helpful to make it so you don't have to worry about these things, but you can only utilize the high level if you fundamentally understand the low level. And if a lot of people will be like, that's not true. Like, I don't know basics. Like, I don't know systems. And yet I'm a effective React programmer or whatever. And it's like, you probably do more so than most people that say that. Watch out for them because you actually probably do. You just don't do it day to day. I've never seen someone that doesn't have some understanding of low level, at least like an understanding. I'm not saying like an application competence. I'm saying an understanding of the low level be effective. I've actually never seen that. And I don't mean like it has to be like crazy, but some fairly comprehensive understanding of the low level understanding. I'm not, by the way, not at all saying uh like um like they can work as a systems programmer, they can work as someone that's building CPUs, right? But I never built a backend from scratch. Hey, if you Florian, if you wanna learn backend, do it. Highly suggested. And the cool thing about operating with languages like PHP without frameworks is you get to sort of play around with at least the HTTP lifecycle in somewhat from scratch. OG PHP people are actually, and Perl people are actually pretty good because they didn't use frameworks for a while. And I mean, there's a lot of PHP frameworks that have been around for like Drupal and like Laravel and all that, but I just mean typically I find PHP. You don't have to do PHP. I'm not saying don't do PHP. I'm just saying there's a lot that often you don't have to do PHP. By the way, to do this, use like Dino or whatever. Uh, that's more modern. Um, but anyway, know your history. This is why this is important. So knowing your history is important because you get to see the evolution of things. So it's like I have a video where I talk about Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, the progression of how we had this like in the 90s up to like the dot-com boom, there's this like push for all of these web companies to build storefronts and to have basic sites and to have these like your business is online, right? And then that became now that the economy is more so online, then we get social media, we get the user generated content, right? See how there's an evolution where now there's people creating a ton of content peer to peer online. The prosumer generation is what they call it, and then that leads into this evolution of where we have now, where it's like, well, now we have a ton of data. Like every day, think about how much data is created. Think about how many news sites are pushing data. Think about how many content creators, if we abstract that, are pushing data, and how many comments are on that data, how many repos, how many, so many URLs posting data right now. So it's like, obviously, it's interesting to build web scrapers and learn about uh, stats and to learn about data science. It's like because you have to do something with that data now. So it's like you could look at that progression, and then, in my opinion, you could say, "Hey, I know what I have to learn to be effective in this career." Right? So think about that, and then I always talk about like the fractal realities, like apply that evolution to whatever framework you're using or whatever coding language. It's like, why do you have sessions? It's like, why do you have cookies? Learn about the what, like how these things were developed. It's like, why is React a thing? Like, um, I couldn't find the chat. Oops. Okay. Uh, yeah, the chat. Yeah, you gotta find the chat, dude, Johnny. But yeah, like always, like see the progression of things. When you see the progression, you get to see the why, and then you get that, like I was saying, that lower level understanding will come naturally. You want to come SSJ, that's how you do it. You have to have understanding. It's like the and it has to be very fun too. That's like, it has to be, keep it light. Oh, I grind lead code. No, you have an anxiety disorder, and you're economically traumatized, which is okay. I'm not like saying that's. I'm not saying. I'm just. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, everyone's got to make money, but I'm just saying, don't like. Often, if you're operating in stress, you're not going to be making, like, if you're making decisions off of stress and anxiety, you're not going to be making more money after that. The dudes that make a lot of money are typically having a great time and they like their work, um, because they can work more. Will the stream be uploaded as a video? So every stream is so yeah. You can look at every single stream. They all get saved, but this one I will be making a clip out of it, definitely. Maybe Sai will. Sai, who's in the community or in the Discord, who's hilarious. He's been making clips, so we'll definitely make this into a clip. Definitely. Um, if someone else makes clips, that's cool. But he seems pretty good at it. Okay, so but you kind of get what I'm saying. How it's like when you know like why things work, you get that understanding. And you know like why it happened. It's like you have to know why object oriented programming is valuable. It's like, well, one, objects are the way we think about things. So like everything that doesn't have form is translated in our brains in an object mapping. Okay. So now take that to a world where we have computer systems where they have no business application whatsoever, like application in the world whatsoever. Well, not none, but it's very experimental. It's very much, it's like governments, it's like people that can afford huge computers. And then you have a world in which all of a sudden the software gets fast enough, the business starts to get really interested in it. And then it's like, okay, well, there's a ton of um, concepts, whether it's a user, whether it's a tax system, whether it's like there's a ton of different I'm trying to think a product line, like a different like the basic object oriented programming example is like a house, right? It's like you have so many real world objects that people need to sell that people are now in the 90s and like 80s starting to get interested in. And yeah, so you're going to have the coders have to make, because they have to communicate to each other, they have to make object mappings to these things. They have to make classes. They have to make some way to, and there's functionality a part of this, some way to structure the real world in their code and not just like move bits around, right? So like then I understand why object oriented programming exists, right? So then it's like, what am I going to do with that knowledge, you know? And then you can see object oriented programming is not so much even that useful anymore. Well, no, it is useful. Sorry, it's useful, but it's we're getting more into this functional modeling type thing because now most of the objects have been created. I would say um, being like a coder that's just like coding a ton of classes. I don't think that's going to be a thing much anymore, personally. Um, anyone confused with what I'm saying there? Because I want to, because that's actually very important career wise to understand this concept. And we're getting hokey right now, but this is I see so many people not be able to do this one right here. Damn, what this is not ordered well. I gotta reduce some spacing. I know. I'm your camp supervisor guy. Believe in yourself. And you're like, this guy's a little creepy. You see, he keeps telling my kid to believe in himself. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, you're not coming back to this campgrounds. No, but you do have to believe in yourself. Like so, like the what's it called when people are like they don't like think they're at the job and they don't think they like belong there. It's like I forgot that word, but there's a word for like being like, oh, like I imposter syndrome. Yeah. Imposter syndrome is a cancer. No, like don't have imposter syndrome. I don't think I've sort of had that in situations because I was like a teenager and there's all these like adults. Um, but like typically you should assume your role wherever you are because um imposter syndrome. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, so this is the one you struggle with the most, yeah? So a lot of people struggle with this, dude. Yeah, it's a cancer. So like the it's really because you haven't I'm not going to get too into this, but you kind of you probably not you specifically, Johnny, but like people that have imposter syndrome typically have under developed senses of self. So like your individuality is underdeveloped, which happens through life experience and all that. Um, like and also just like asserting yourself a ton. Um, the more you assert yourself, the more you say no to things, the more you survive after asserting yourself. So you're like, oh wait, I'm like actually like worthy. The more imposter syndrome just doesn't. It's unintuitive actually. It's a if you don't believe you belong somewhere, you're weeding yourself out, and it actually doesn't make sense because you want to survive and eat. So why would you weed yourself out of a pack of people, right? So so you have to so many engineers, and I say this because so many people have imposter syndrome, and it's just like it's the worst positioning because you have to. I've seen so many times. Okay, actually, I'll put it this way: to develop, if you want to be very successful, well, comparatively, if you want to be very successful, I'm like, I keep resizing these, crazy, but you have to be taking ownership over time. And this I saw someone make a tweet about this where it's like, um, oh yeah, don't like just work a ton of hours and all this. It's like the reason why you don't want to just be someone who's like, oh yeah, I work 80 hours this week, and then that's what you're optimizing for is just working more for your company. You don't want to just be like that because it sucks. You don't want to be like that because you want to optimize for impact and ownership. And then once you take ownership over something, yeah, you can be proud to work that 80 hours because one, you own it. And you can do whatever you want. You work 40 or 80. But if you're the more you have to take more ownership so that you have more impact. And either it's your business or someone else's business or whatever, the more impact you have, the more you're gonna get feedback and be like in a social group community being useful, which is healthy for you. But not just that, the more you do that, the more you're gonna actually like what you're doing, and you're gonna be in the game of what you're doing more. And as you win, as you like do build good projects and do all this, you're gonna believe in yourself because you're gonna be like, wait, I've done something better than this, you know. So don't see it as like, oh, I have to code X amount this year. It's like, no, I have to take ownership more than I did the year before. Whether it's like, I'll be the point man for this project. Oh, maybe there's an open source project you see out there that's not maintained well. You be a guy that wants to start maintaining it. You know, you make a GitHub issue where it's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. You know, take more ownership. Uh, let's see. To get I think mostly I've been putting programming off to the side a lot with school to get good, spend time in front of the computer, be comfortable. Yeah. I'm balancing with a lot of this stressful stuff. And when it comes to developing, I just feel so behind, especially when I see resumes and all the amazing projects and whatnot. Does it not let you just set the font height? No, dude, it does. But let me respond to what you're saying real quick. So like so essentially okay, so you're doing sports and school right now, and you're stressed, and you feel behind. Are you in college, Johnny? Or are you in high school? Because, but if you're in college, the college sports, I wouldn't. Oh, you're in high school. Oh, don't stress about anything. Don't ever be stressed about anything when you're in high school. No, no, this is not the time to stress. If you're stressed now, what are you gonna be? How are you gonna be when you're a man and you have responsibilities? You're a junior. No, stop. You're probably at the fact you're this stressed means you're probably at a competitive enough of a school where you'll be fine. No, you have a very long life. the your skill, all this stuff follows you. So it's like the getting good at coding. If you do want to get good at coding, you have to. Florian put it well. It's like spend time in front of the computer. You're just going to be spending time coding naturally in your life if you just like position yourself to do that. Like this is a long thing. This isn't like I'm gonna grind for 6 months and get good. I mean, if you have that economic pressure to get a job, you can do that, and I can talk about stuff like that. But like when you're in high school, you don't have to stress about getting good at coding. That's not you have to just find things you like to do, and where you get in a state of play. Like you see, it's like Goku's in a state of play when he's fighting. He's not like, oh no, I need to become the best fighter. No, he's just like he loves it, you know. Um, like do activities that are playful. It's like you shouldn't be stressed about learning these things. It's like, and when it comes to competitiveness in the field when getting a job, like you'll probably that's mostly about positioning. It's mostly about positioning. It's like, are you in a good high quality network? Um, do you put yourself in front of people a lot? Are you are you able to communicate the things you know well? Do you have anxiety in interviews? Like these are like a lot of these are a combination of positioning and just like social network. Um, all right, cool. So let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, that led perfectly into this one. Don't stress, dude. You're in high school. Relax. Um, that leads perfect. Oh, I made way too much space. Okay, so find a community. If you're self-taught, there's you're at such a disadvantage when it comes to this. Community has two M's, Jared. Jesus. Am I okay? Does that make sense though? Yeah, build fun stuff you can show off to your friends. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Build fun stuff you can show off to your friends. That's it. Oh yeah, no, Johnny, I know you're Asian. I know, like I can feel your parents. Like I think, like you're so stressed out right now. Like I actually feel like I need to perform better for your parents. Like I'm like, oh my god, like I love like I need to do better. Like the kid next door. Like yeah, all right. How to understand data structures and algo thing, like how to think logically to write on my own. I have to depend upon tutorials, Stack Overflow, or ChatGPT. So, Rule, we actually talked. So, rewatch the beginning of this video where I cover, I believe it was these two, the fundamentals and never stop learning. I talk a little bit about, oh, actually, a lot of this I do. I think love problem solving. This one I talked a little bit about that. So learning data structures and algorithms is all intuitive, based on learning how things work. So there isn't like a lot of algorithmic thinking comes from diving deep into the structure of how things work, because all these, and I talked about it a little bit with like the heap, right? It's like heap memory, max heap. These are like very important concepts, and these come from binary trees, right? And a sorted binary tree. So like these concepts, you could say, oh, someone just made these concepts so I could be confused. It's like, no, these concepts are really important because this is how your computer works. From the more you dive deep into how the systems work, the more you start to see the data structures and algorithms get revealed. The more you start to see queues and stacks when you start looking at recursion, right? The more you start to look at storage, you start to understand a lot of these sorting algorithms and binary algorithms, binary search trees. The more you start to see that you need to find information quickly, you know, it's like the more you start learning about how the system works, like go through a computer architecture like deep dive. You could just look at a ton of videos and all that, and you're gonna learn data structures and algorithms. You may not be able to like crush leak code immediately. Like things like that will take time as you're developing. And also you could just train and do leak code. I'm not saying don't do leak code, but like when you learn how things work, you learn the intuition. Does that make sense? Um, yeah, but oh yeah, so find a community. You gotta find a community. The the important thing about finding a community is like what Florian said, so you have to be showing people, like, you have to like do things for people in this world. Like it's not the it's this isn't a it's a life as a team sport. It's like the when you're learning your skill. I think that there's a comedian who said that, who's hilarious. But like, so like life is a team sport. Like when you're developing your knowledge on these things, you should be sharing it. And I don't just mean educating. You could do that too, but you should be being useful. It's like build a Chrome extension that like helps your buddy out. Um, and then if you don't have buddies, do it online. Post it on forums. Post it on Hacker News and like Product Hunt or whatever. And like get build things for people, but also find a community. So like find if you have like three, not even three, two other self-taught developers in your stage of life, in your frame of mind, you have a tribe. And it's like one of the most signs of longevity for life is having a tribe, having like a community, and living in a community. It's like as soon as you become a lone wolf, your health starts to like fade. um and it's a survival mechanism. But does that make sense? So it's like you have to find a community. This one is even this one I'm just like, Johnny, this one's for you. This one's for you. Keep it light. And I get it. You want to get a job, you want to be like that LinkedIn video with the girl like on a roof drinking coconut water, making like $300,000 working at Facebook. I get it. But that's not like when you're visualizing something and that's going to make you have more resources and wealth and all that. Understand that that's not really like the goal. Because once you get that and you get your money and you're all happy, what are you gonna be doing every day? You're gonna be a software developer every single day, right? So are you gonna even like it? Or you gonna no, you're gonna have another thing after that, and you're gonna be like, oh, now I want this, and I want this upgrade, and I want this upgrade. I've never seen there's a certain like vibe you get when you and a buddy are problem solving and you're figuring something out. There's a certain like, oh man, we're actually gonna like do this. Oh, whoa, can you check this out? I'll check this out. There's a certain communication and like joy that comes out of that, with that teamwork and with that like like problem solving, like that you guys are doing, that that I've only ever seen um successful self-taught engineers be super energized by that, by the chase. And that energy, you gotta like, it's like, oh, I gotta grind lead code. So you can do that and get to a point. Like you can work, that's the Vegeta route. You can work super hard and get anything. Like he became Super Saiyan. Yeah. He's also like a jerk. Or he also like he has hate in his heart. And I used to love Vegeta as a kid. But as I get older, I like Goku. Because it's like, and these aren't idols, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you know, very flawed individuals, but like it's gotta be like just this game that you keep trying to get better at. That you just feel so energized. Does that make sense? You have to learn to be chill and like your life right now. Strive to be an accomplished person, but when you will be successful, if you didn't train yourself to be happy, you'll be successful and sad, dude. Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, I know a lot of people that they got the black eyes in their youth and chased to get that bag, and then once they got the bag, it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden they're recreating their life because they realize they never had the joy. You know, it's like you got to keep it light. You got to keep things fun, you know, and fresh. You know, and it's like that's why it's like always be learning new things. You know, always push things out to people. It's like always like try to like learn a whole new like this past year. I didn't know like any neural net AI stuff before. Well, understood very basic stuff from just work and things like that in different jobs, but before this year, I went on a whole or at the beginning, literally a year ago. It was August. I went on a whole deep dive, and it led me to getting an idea for a company, getting like, and it was fun, and I was like trying to push myself and learn like it's like linear algebra deep dives, like learn different concepts was that I didn't even care about before, and then now it's like every day I'm learning about this stuff, you know, and it's like it's very light, like it's very it's like it's not like that. It's serious because it's like there's a financial thing about it, but like it's not it's something that you want to enjoy every hour. You know what I mean? But Bobby, this is it. This is the list. So you don't want to suck. This is it. Don't suck. You gotta like what you do. You gotta believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one is. And if someone does believe in you, you're very lucky and be very fortunate. But don't waste it. You know, use that as a reason to believe in yourself on your own. You know, it's like you can get good at anything. It's like there's no real cap to your potential. Like like you set the cap to your potential in life. It's a mental thing. It's like you may see someone who's really good at coding and it's like, "Oh my god, I can't do that," or that guy's just naturally whatever, and it's like like you don't really know how the person got there. They may be like fighting crazy demons to have gotten there, you know, and it's like you have to sort of just like let go and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna try to, if I do want to, because a lot of people will be interested in coding and they won't do it or they won't push themselves to it because they're comparing themselves and they get in their head too much, and it's like if you like it, you have to be able to get into a flow where you're just like it's fun and it's playful. Thanks, man. Yeah, of course, Johnny. They don't let your parents stress yourself out too much. I get it. They want what's best for you, but it's you gotta. There's also a part of life where you have to forge your own path. Um, any questions um about anything else? I got some time. This is interesting though because on I've seen like so many because this dude on Twitter was like talking about how this went viral where he was like, if I have anything, could I reach you on Discord or something? Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, if you have in the Discord, there's like a coding help section. So if you have like a coding thing related thing, you just at that. There's also other people there that are cool. I think Florian, are you there? Because like Florian gets it, obviously. See, oh wait, I just realized I'm on the okay, but oh yeah, this dude was talking about how he's like, could you go through your AI learning path, how it went week by week? Yeah, definitely. Oh, should I do just a video on that? Because that was interesting. Um, yeah. So overall, I guess I'll talk about it overall here. Maybe I should make content for that. Um, I approached it pretty from like everything from scratch. Yeah, make a video. Okay, yeah, yeah. I should do that. I'll just be like how I learned about like AI. So like really, you should just start with Well, I was fortunate enough because I was inspired to build something. I was like, I want to make a very very small, which is the tiny web dev LLM. I want to make a like a super efficient model, which I'm still kind of doing at writing HTML websites, the generative stuff. So I first just looked. This isn't perfect, right? Because when you're just doing things that you like, it's not perfect. I looked at a ton of transformer content because I want to know that works. Then as I kept learning about Transformers and watching the Transformers video from scratch, um, that Andre Carpathy has, like I watched it like a ton of times, and I have enough knowledge of these things that I was able. It wasn't like I didn't know anything, but then I had to like learn a ton about calculus and learn a ton about that. I was like, I was like, whenever you're a kid, you're like, why do you need calculus? Like, I don't need calculus. I need bitches, right? But and then I was learning about, oh yeah, learning about matrices, and rank and echelon form, and all these things, and obviously like dot product. That's kind of basic, but like learning about all the math, not all the math, but like enough math behind it so that I could read white papers. So my week by week was reading a ton of white papers and looking at a ton of videos. So like white papers on new technologies. So like reading about, like, for instance, like positional embeddings, like different different reward models that are coming out, like the archive site um is great for that. um yeah, like the neural net from scratch videos are great. I highly suggest everyone just do that. If you want to learn about deep learning, there's a few neural net from scratch videos that are great. Just watch those over and over again. And I would just, like, for each concept, for instance, for gradient descent, like I had to like really understand that because that's like such an important component to it. But yeah, try to learn every single thing about neural nets, but also like basic stats. So like uh, go back to linear regressions and learn that. It's a really good way to learn about AI. Well, not AI, but to learn about machine learning is to start with linear regressions and just keep going into and then go into sequential models. Start with linear regressions and learn about the stats around that, and then learn about uh, what's it called? Then get into, after you get a sort of stats foundation, get into recurrent neural net, get into neural networks. Obviously, do the for scratch stuff I talked about, but after that, get into recurrent neural networks, and then get into, I'm talking about the historical thing. Get into LSTMs, and then get into transformers, and then understand all these things, and then you're gonna sort of have that sequential model and NLP thing. And as you're doing all this, like I was learning about I was doing everything through PyTorch, and I even said uh, not to, but I was doing it to learn fundamentals. But I was doing everything through PyTorch and NumPy. So that's sort of how I've been able to learn all that. Trying to learn online myself. Most people on YouTube are super helpful. You go talk to them on Discord and ask for help. Yeah, yeah, dude. If you're just ask people suggestion for math resource for ML. Oh, this dude on YouTube, what's his name? Guy's the best. Best. What's his name? I'm just gonna look up, like, oh, I really should know his name because I will always push this guy's stuff. Um, what's his face? Learn. I'm gonna like just no. I'm gonna say learn echelon. He's probably gonna come up. He has to come up here. Hold on a sec. What's his name? He's Indian. Someone probably knows. I mean, it's like I've watched so many of these guys' videos. Wow, what's his name? Maybe I'll find it. I want to push his. I just said echelon, but I want to know where is it? I thought it would show up. Interesting. Huh. I feel like I don't think like I'm bad or anything. I'm pretty close. Sentex? No, it wasn't Sentex. Oh, it's really good. Stats Quest. Stats Quest is great. Stats Quest is incredible. Um, I do know the Fast AI course. That's probably good. Oh, hey Turcula, what's up? Team in the community. I'm pretty close with the yeah, dude. Yeah, Johnny. Like, try to like engage with like people in these communities about this stuff. Um, I'm just gonna do like how LSTMs work. He has to show up. Yeah, Stats Quest is great. Definitely. I mean, Stats Quest is like he really overdoes it in a good way. I don't. I mean that in a good way. Wow. I have to. Next time I have to. Oh, this is a great video right here from Data Quest. This video is incredible. RNNs from scratch. This video is incredible. Um, Mostly because Ritvik math. That's it. Okay, dude, you gotta get better, more in the search. How do I? I'm gonna post this in the Discord. Yeah. So like, this guy is great. I'll post this in machine learning help. His videos, he'll have bite-sized videos about these concepts that are really good. But I'll also just talk about a ton of things, and it's all machine learning focused in terms of like what'll help you learn the fundamentals of application. So he's very like he won't talk about a ton of application, but he'll talk about the why a lot. And I can tell based on his videos, um, I can tell based on his videos that he's really trying to push content for people that are in application. All right. Yeah, Ritvik math. It's Ritvik math. I'm gonna type Ritvik math. Yeah, check out Ritvik math and StatQuest. StatQuest is like super digestible. Um, I don't know. Is the Fast AI course worth it? Ritvik math is like awesome. Um, I like how he doesn't just like because in school they're just like, hey, here's a system of equations, linear systems of equations. Just do it. It's cool. It's important in the world. And you're like, okay, but then like when you if you're in CS, you grow up and you're like, wait, that's like so important. Like that's like crazy important, right? It's like I feel like they kind of brush over how important linear algebra is. It's like this like and then but he sort of talks about um the use of a lot of things. Um but yeah, so that's it. I'll try to make a clip of this. I'll try to make a clip of this. Thanks guys for hanging out. Ask me any questions in Discord if you have any questions. Yeah, I'll see you guys.